Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Oh, Crazy Legs is already on. What up? What up? What
I had to
up?
bring the shiny into this and a little logo.
Well, first of all, I had to bring my Adidas for you, but I was like, you're not the only one. I'm like, hello. I'm like, you're not the only one. I'm like, you ain't gonna outshine me. I'm just
No,
kidding.
I
You're the
can
guest.
never.
Right?
But you know, but peep out this one. Peep out this one.
Oh, amazing! I love that. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Good. Good to see you. Thank you for doing this.
Anytime, anything for you.
I appreciate that. I think you're like, a wonderful guy, but I just want to start off by saying that, you're an absolute legend, and I want you to know that. So like, you are by far the most famous breakdancer in the history of
B.boy.
breakdancing.
B.boy.
B.boy. Sorry. B.boy. My bad. No. Please correct me. Please correct me. You are by all means the most famous to ever do it, and an absolute living legend. But I want you to tell me you know that. Cheers, by the way. Do you know that?
For me, I don't. I believe that legacy is what people decide it's going to be, not what you intend it to be, because you can do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, how people perceive you will be your legacy. And so I appreciate when it comes to me like that.
Well, that's a great way of looking at it, because it's so interesting, because a friend of mine just said something about my personal legacy, and I never think that way. I don't think about my legacy. I just do, And she was saying basically that in 20, 30 years, pictures are going to be of me on the horse and all these crazy things. Like, wow, it's funny because I'm just starting to think about my legacy right now. It's really interesting that you say that. So, from one legend to another, I guess, right? Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want to kind of, if anyone, how would you describe yourself to people that don't know exactly who or what you do?
I would say I'm a dysfunctional, fun-loving, giving Puerto Rican.
Yes, I mean, that's obvious. Hello, I'm like, but aren't they all?
I mean, for me, I'm just I'm a dude who grew up in the Bronx, dysfunctional home, on welfare, during the 70s and 80s when it was really rough, surrounded by burned down buildings at times in my life.
Yeah.
I felt like I came to life, although I was born in 66 and 77 when I started. Well, when I went to my first jam on Crotona Avenue in the Bronx, that's when I felt like it came to life, because I had witnessed all these different elements that were later to be known as elements of hip hop. And I just fell in love with something that was accessible, didn't cost money, because we didn't have the money. My loves were boxing and baseball, and I still love boxing and baseball more than I love dance. So yeah, those are the things I really wanted to do. So for me, I was fortunate enough to, it's weird because I was fortunate enough to get into breaking, and by the time I was getting good, it was starting to die. But then I was getting good, so I'm like, yo, I'm hungry right now. I need to battle somebody. So I kind of became like a stalker b-boy, where if I heard, which was pretty normal for most b-boys back then, if you heard like, oh yeah, b-boy Legendary Damon is over there in Spanish Harlem all the time with his big chains in his box, hangs out with G-Bo in front of his building, I'd be like, oh, I don't know what this dude looks like, but I heard he's nice. I'm going to find this dude Damon with his box and his friend G-Bo, and I'm going to go back. I'm going to ask him if he wants to battle. And that's how we establish our credibility and legitimacy as, b-boys back then. In order to protect your reputation within all of hip-hop back then, you actually had to battle before you could get that respect.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. I mean, that's kind of like most things, But first of all, I wish I really was outside G-Bo's building and you were coming to battle. I would ask you to teach me to breakdance for like many years. So I wish that was really happening. But okay, so let's start off from the beginning. You're a child. You're in the Bronx. And what was the first time you kind of like saw it or like witnessed it, and you're like, wow, this is really interesting?
I first saw my oldest brother, Robert Colón. He was part of a crew called the Organization with a guy named Africa Islam, DJ Africa Islam.
Yep.
And the organization eventually became Zulu Nation.
Amazing.
So I saw my brother dancing on Garfield Street in the Mayberry section of the Bronx. And him and Africa Islam were comparing moves. And I'm looking at my brother, and I'm putting my head down in shame. And I'm thinking, why is my brother embarrassing our family by throwing himself on the floor, on the concrete? And there were no spins back then. So, but they were practicing moves that you may have seen, like James Brown dropping into a half split or whatever it was. But I knew nothing about what that was. And I just felt like shame and humiliation for my family as he was doing that. So a year later, my cousin takes me to a jam on Crotona Avenue, and that's when I fell in love with it. And I was like, oh, there's supposed to be music with this. You got MCs. And there was a dude, a DJ called, and it's funny because a lot of people don't associate Puerto Ricans with being early on in hip hop. And in '77, there was this DJ named Little Angel. And I saw him DJing, and I just fell in love with everything. I saw writers comparing their tags and things like that. And it wasn't orchestrated. It was just that hood shit that we did.
So let me ask you this, because what you're kind of telling me is that it was less about the dancing and it was about the whole movement of the culture for you, or no? Yeah,
yes.
I can tell. It's about the music and the tagging and everything. It was about the actual, like you're saying, legitimacy and movement of the whole entire culture at that exact moment, which was like the 70s.
77.
Yeah, that's to say, like, I think it was more about the birth of hip hop being birthed, you know, the growing of hip hop.
I would say like you, 3 years after the birth of it, but still, like when you look at it over decades, you're like, oh yeah, that was the beginning. You know, anyone, you know, it starts to become relative. So for me, I just was hungry to practice. My discipline when it came to practice was ridiculous. No one had to tell me to practice. I would practice, show up the next week somewhere, get smoked. They tell me I was whack. I'd be like, cool, I'll be back next week. Go back and practice and keep getting better and better and better and better. And then eventually I joined, you know, I got into my first crew, which was called the Bronx Boys.
Amazing. Well, you're just really determined and really hungry. That's very New York, first of all. That's very, you know, it's a very New York and a very kind of Bronx and Harlem mentality in a great way, you know. So, okay, so what was the first kind of song that you remember kind of really connecting with? You're like, this is my song.
Wow. One of the songs was Frisco Disco, Hot Shot, Apache, of course, Dance to the Drummer's Beat. Those songs are probably, and Give It Up and Turn Loose. Those songs are songs that were like staples. And there was so many because I was just learning about music. I mean, I grew up around Latin soul, salsa, and funk. So I was getting it from all areas. My three older brothers were disco DJs.
Are you the youngest?
No, there's two younger than me.
Yeah, because I find that in general, because I ask everyone kind of the first musical inspirations, basically, and everyone says they kind of got it from their older brother or sister, or I got it from an older uncle. You know, it's like usually the siblings that like turn you on.
Musical inspirations is one thing, but when it comes to hip hop, that's another, because the first thing I remember when I think about what my parents, I grew up in a single parent home, but my mom's was listening to Johnny Mathis.
Oh, amazing. Great.
So,
cool. And then, okay, so you started kind of, you know, you're starting off, you're really hungry. And then was there anyone that you kind of looked up to, or is there anyone that kind of took you under their wing and kind of showed you the ropes, or did you all kind of navigate yourself?
So my cousin Lenny Len was teaching me at the beginning how to break, and I started advancing really, really fast. And about 6 months later, I started teaching him. So so it flipped. And, you know, there were people that I really looked up to. I grew up around a lot of Puerto Rican b-boys. So my first hip hop hero was a Puerto Rican b-boy by the name of B.boy Spy.
Amazing, cool. And then what was kind of your first moment where you're like, wow, there's power in this. I'm really doing something and people are really reacting to this. What was that moment, you mean? So when I moved to Manhattan for 4 years, I lived in an Inwood area.
And when I moved there, I was taken out of my element. I would literally pack bags at Pathmark or go and like I would employ myself every other day, either at the gas station or at Pathmark, pump gas for change, and then get enough money to make like $5 so that I have like some my 75-cent bus fare, get some pizza, some soda, and then a couple of dollars to get into a jam or go to a park jam, and then walk from Crotona Avenue back to Manhattan on 207th Street and Post. So for me, I had to figure out a way to find other b-boys. So I would find people in Manhattan and then I would battle them. And since my vocabulary of dance was from the Bronx, we had more when it came to breaking because it started there. So I was beating all these dudes, and then they would take me and be like, yo, I got this other person you should battle. And then I realized that all these dudes brought me to battle someone that they lost to. So I became a mercenary b-boy. You know, that's the way I see it now. I was used, but I enjoyed it.
That's great. What was the first kind of Manhattan club that you went to that you remember? Kind of like being like the, you know, a hip hop kind of mecca maven. You're like,
okay, so here's the thing. There were venues like the Kitchen, Center for Performing Arts, Common Ground, Mud Club, all those other things that weren't really nightclubs. So I'll put those to the side for a second. But I believe,
I'm listening. I love this.
Yeah,
I'm listening.
The first performance at a club was at the Ritz, and we opened up for we opened up for Bow Wow Wow, punk rock.
Amazing. I think you told me that. You told me that.
Bow Wow Wow.
And what year was that? That was like 82,
no,
maybe something like that.
80, bullshit. That's 80, 81. Maybe late 81.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, at that point, you're really you're doing it. You're doing it kind of, you know, you're on the grander level. So
it's happening. Yeah, we're meeting like all these. It was weird because we're meeting now. That was the first time we're meeting punk rockers, and at that point, this woman, Kool Lady Blue, who used to so she used to run the Vivian Westwood store back in the days on the Lower East Side. She came up to us. She said, "Hey, my name is Blue. I'm a promoter." She was 21 years old at the time, something like that, from the UK. She used to be the publicist for the Sex Pistols. She worked with Malcolm McLaren. And she told us that she was in, she wanted to book us for something. And she ended up booking us for a nightclub called Negro Nightclub, which was outside of the Kitchen Center for Performing Arts. When it comes to the nightclubs, it was the first club to present all four elements of what still wasn't called hip hop yet to the downtown scene at a place called Club Negro, where it was Rastafarians, people from Soho, the whole art scene before it was called Soho, and punk rockers. So you had all these anti-establishment people like tripping out on each other and drugs. Like, yo, this shit is crazy.
Was that club in the Lower East Side? So I know. Yeah, I know of her and I know that club. And then I think it went then from there to the Roxy.
From there to Danceteria, where Howie used to work the door.
Amazing.
You know about Howie?
Listen, no, but listen, this is exactly. I love this. What you're saying to me, I love this kind of stuff so much. Wait, so I think the story goes, and you would know way better than me. And I'm like, please tell me everything. I think they said Fab Five Freddy took Debbie Harry, Malcolm McLaren to the Bronx to kind of like see hip hop and breakdancing, all this stuff in around that time. Do you know anything about that? Or?
We didn't really know Fred, and a lot of people didn't know Fab Five Freddy back then. Maybe he, I know he definitely did that. I don't know where he brought them to. I didn't know Fred until 81 when Henry Chalfant threw that first event that presented all elements to like the downtown scene, where Andy Warhol was there, Keith Haring was there, Basquiat was there. All these downtown luminaries were coming to see us perform. And
Amazing.
Henry Chalfant was like, I need some rappers. And somebody told him about Ramelzi and Fab Five Freddy. And I'm like, okay, he didn't know what he was doing, but he let them get on. So yeah, I don't know Fred's history, so I don't really want to comment on that too much. I just know
Yeah,
about
all
what
right, just wondering.
we did with him together.
Just, yeah. So so you're performing basically for like these punk rockers and all these different people, these Rastas and stuff. And how did you feel? Did you feel like you felt cool? You felt like this is crazy? Like, what was your thought during that time?
So first of all, the first time we started doing shows, I was 16. So we weren't even supposed to be in a club. And trust me, we were ordering our iced teas and our Sex on the Beach and rolling up with our spliffs and whatever other recreational fun we were enjoying at the time. We honestly didn't have an appreciation for any of that shit. We were just trying to party, have fun.
That's what I'm saying. Listen, it makes sense. You're 16, you're a teenager, you're in the club, you want to see girls' butts. I get it. That's what I'm saying. Just wondering, like, did you realize at the time this is kind of groundbreaking and amazing? Probably
no,
not.
Honestly, it took me a few years to like really assess like the idea of any kind of fame outside of like ghetto celebrity shit. Yeah. You know, and yeah, it took me until like 1983 to figure that shit out.
Yeah, you're like, they know me on my block. I'm doing good. No, it's like it's bigger than that.
And I had already gone on tour, and I still didn't realize it.
Well, you know, it's okay. That's why you're humble. You're a humble man. That's why. You mean so? Okay, so what's the next big break thing after that? Like, what's next?
So the producers, I would say the producers of Flashdance came to the Roxy.
Well, listen. You're in 4 of my favorite movies of all time. So I'm like, and they all span within like a short period of time too. So I would say this too. Flashdance is the reason I live in New York. So when I was a kid, I saw Flashdance and I thought she lived in New York. It was Pittsburgh or something. And I always knew that was a guy doing it though. Even when I was a little kid, I knew that was not her.
The spin?
So I knew that was not her. You mean? Okay, but it was amazing, by the way. So tell me about that. Yeah. So Flashdance just came. The producers came to where? Where'd they come to?
They came down to the Roxy on 18th Street and 10th Avenue, where now we've gone from Danceteria, and the crazy thing is that Danceteria is where I met Madonna. And so so let's stop. We're gonna pause the Flashdance.
We're gonna pause the Flashdance and rewind a bit. Okay, so Flashdance is being trumped by Madonna. Hold up. Okay, so Danceteria. In my head, Studio 54 and Danceteria are in my head. I've never been to either. Obviously, it's before my time. They are the most inspirational things to me forever. So, I never met Basquiat, Keith, or Madonna, but those are 3 very inspirational people to me. Did you know all 3?
Yes.
Okay, tell me everything. First, start with Madonna.
All right. So, Basquiat was best friends with one of the guys in Rocksteady crew, a guy named Toxic. They were all writers, and another guy named A1, who was another writer. So they were always mingling with him. So we always crossed paths because of that. And he would come to Danceteria. He came to all those spots. He was very much a part of that, but he wasn't. It's weird because he wasn't active with our scene, but he was there with us. His thing was the art world and Soho and all that, which we were all learning about. So he was a cool brother. And then Keith Haring. Everyone had like a weird relationship with Keith Haring because he was getting all these props for being a graffiti writer, which, he was doing his pop art thing. But for us who were like self-righteous, hip hop heads, graffiti writers, whatever we were, we weren't very accepting to him. I'm sure Futura and them were, but we were, me and my boys, we had more of a ghetto mentality. So we were like, yo, fuck him. But
listen,
that was again, young kids.
Yeah, you listen. You live and you learn. And to be honest, you learn by experiences. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
I mean, so by being around these people and understanding where they're coming from, they understand where you're coming from, that kind of thing.
So Madonna. First time I heard about Madonna. Well, not heard about her, but I go to Danceteria, and the Danceteria had a rooftop area. And she was performing, and I don't know if she was called Madonna yet. And she actually performed with a group. They were all wearing black, like tight clothing, like not lycra, but like leggings.
Was it guys? Huh? Was it all guys? Was it all guys?
I think there were guys and maybe one girl. I'm not sure, but they were dancing.
She had a group called the Breakfast Club. It might have been called the Breakfast Club.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Fooled me. Yeah, so I saw them perform. And then next thing you know, you know, my boy Take One is like, yo, Physical Attraction, you gotta hear this song and whatever else. Yeah, yeah. We were more, in the hood, we were more into the song Physical Attraction. Then I think her first song was Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, we knew that song,
I didn't know that.
but we didn't really pick up on her music until Physical Attraction, because it was kind of like a song that the dudes could rock with as well.
Yeah. Well, in Detroit, where I'm from, they used to play her on the black radio station around that time. Yeah. And then when she became kind of popular and everyone knew she was white, they stopped playing on the black radio station.
Yeah, that's not good.
I don't think they knew. They played like Everybody Physical Attraction on the black radio station. Then once she started to get kind of famous, they stopped.
I mean, she had MTV anyway, so whatever.
Yeah, she don't. Yeah, you're right.
So, so I knew her. She used to hang out in the Roxy. It was at the Danceteria. We all started, you know, we would see her in Danceteria, hang out with her, dance with her. And you know, there's no fame involved yet for anyone, really. I think at that point, we were more famous than her. And we end up, our manager, Kool-Aid Blue, at the time, moves a party called Wheels of Steel to the Roxy, which was like, they would set a giant curtain halfway through the floor because it was a roller skating rink, and that would hold about 2,000 people. But it got to a point where the party was so popping, it was 4,000 people every time a party happened. And anyway, how do I do this politically correct? Because you gotta love Madonna anyway. So for me, I knew like she was hanging out with all the dudes, all my boys and all that stuff, and I was like, nah, I'm not hanging out with her, because I thought she was a freak. And that's not even to say that I wasn't. You know? But the thing with Madonna is that, you know, she was always a sweetheart. Every time I've seen her, and she was cool, and she ends up introducing me one day to Jelly Bean when she had first gotten with him. I met him at Danceteria also, because Danceteria was still open, so we were going back and forth. But she would come and hang out with us in the back of the Roxy, because we had our own corner of like rock steady crew. And then, you know, I would just hear things, you know, I would hear things like, oh, everybody's going to Madonna's house to go hang out. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going up in there.
Do you regret it? Do you regret that?
Nah, man, not really. Not really. I had my own crew. I had my own squad.
I regret it for you, but you don't regret it. So, well, my thing is that, you know, to me, Madonna in particular during that time, she is a cool white chick from Detroit. She reminds me of myself a lot. We are both from the same area, you know, and I think there's something about Detroit that loves culture.
Yes.
You know, loves, like, you know,
Detroit is amazing.
And really is inspired. And I think that she, you know, was a free spirit and really in kind of like went in these different, like you're saying, kind of like, you know, the Bronx and all these different areas, and kind of like navigate those seamlessly, kind of. So, you know, I really like that about her, especially back then. A little
side note, the person who runs culture marketing, and that's all the fun shit, is a woman from Detroit for Red Bull.
Exactly.
She runs, for the United States, she runs culture marketing. And when we talk about music, she just loves her Detroit.
Well, okay, first of all, how you love the Bronx, I love Detroit. It's the exact same thing.
There
you listen. Every chance you get, you mention the Bronx. Every chance I get, I like to mention that I'm from Detroit. Everyone that's ever met me, I say I'm from Detroit. But well, I think there's something about Detroit, not to get on a side note, but Detroit, there's something really musical in the air there, and I think it really breeds a really fine-tuned ear for music there.
And that's, I think, and then you're also close to Montreal, which is also the same kind of passion and love for culture and music. So yeah, it makes sense.
Well, I'm a total culture nerd. I like to study, like everything you're saying right now. I'm like taking notes. I'm like, tell me more. Wait, so one more question I have for you now. So I always say, I wasn't from that time at all. I'm a generation, the next generation after that. So, or whatever, like your generation ahead of me, basically. So I never met Warhol, Basquiat, or Haring. I loved them all since I'm like a little child. I was like an 8 or 10-year-old. I love them. I asked everybody, who do you think I would, and out of the three of them, which one would I be friends with, for real? Because I know the answer, but I always ask everybody.
I would say Madonna.
No, not Madonna's not in the thing. So it's Warhol, Basquiat, or Haring?
Warhol.
Okay, so here's what I say. And everyone picks somebody, but here's what I say. Warhol would have like a weird fascination with me, be like, oh, your outfit is interesting. He'd be like shady, but always checking for me. And then Keith Haring and I would have too much in common, actually. We would like the same person or something. And Basquiat and I would have been like this. That's what I think.
Okay.
We would have been like total bros, me and Basquiat. That's in my head. But,
yeah, Basquiat was a cool dude. And you know, all three of those people had an affinity with diversity.
Yeah.
So that was a cool thing about all three of them.
As do I.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, let's talk about you now. I'm interviewing you. So Flashdance. So
Flashdance. They came down to see us. They actually came down to see one person, Rocksteady, which was the young kid. His name was Norsky. But when they saw us all dancing and doing our show, they ended up saying, "Hey, we want all of you guys to be in the movie," and we ended up. There was no audition, nothing like that. They flew us to Pittsburgh. All we knew is that we were going to get paid. We're going to be in the movie. Our movies are going to be on the screen. Again, our only concern was, when does the check come so I can party?
Yeah, and like, where can I? Is it going to help me get more girls because in a movie? I get it. Listen. Wait. So, how old were you? How old were you at the time?
When we filmed Flashdance, we filmed it in. Oh shit! It came out '83.
Yes, came out in '83.
So that means we filmed it '82, late '82. Right? Yeah. So I was 16.
Are you like 16? Yeah. Okay. So are you in the scene when she's walking down the street and is that you?
Me, and then Mr. Freeze, Frosty Freeze, Ken Swift, and Normski.
And then are you the one that does the spin, backspin?
I do a backspin, yeah. A couple of us do backspins, but I'm wearing two different outfits in that scene. I had the brown leather jacket, and then I had the blue sweatshirt.
Amazing. No, that's, to me, amazing. One of the many things. But, so then after that, when was Beach Street?
We filmed Beach Street in '83. We weren't supposed to be in Beach Street.
How did that come about?
We were actually on tour for a month in Germany, and there was a big competition going on in New York City at the Roxy. And you had all these celebrities who were judges of that.
Like who?
I think it was Blair Underwood one. I don't know, like a football player. Herschel Walker, I think, was there. I don't know. I wasn't there, so whatever. But it turned out being Dynamic Rockers and New York City Breakers being selected to be in the movie. So Dynamic Rockers I'm not going to get into all that shit, but they had a situation during rehearsal where they got fired. Or either they got fired or they walked out, and then we were just back from tour. They heard we were back. They asked us to come into a studio. And mind you, we're like diesel, ripped, in shape. We just came from tour. So we were dancing every day. So we had routines. We had everything that we needed to like
you were like
impress.
At your A game.
Yeah, so we went in and we did our thing. They're like, you got the part. And then we became Bronx Rockers in the movie. It was pretty easy. We didn't really have to do much work.
Well, to me, so far, it sounds like everything was pretty easy because, first of all, you guys were kind of young, hungry, talented, and you were kind of, although you don't sound like you were like really embracing it, you were kind of embracing the downtown thing, which led to all these other things, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, you wanted the check and the free drinks and stuff, but the reality is that was what was really getting you all these opportunities.
When we used to go to Roxy, for me being a 16-year-old kid, my guest list at the beginning was 50, which grew to 100. And there were times that I think about that and I think like, holy shit, they were having me bring all these people in. And sometimes they feel like we were like monkeys in a cage. And other people were able to see us in a safe environment. And whatever, that's just me digging too deep in my mind. But I mean, we had a blast, man. It was so amazing to come across like so many different cultures, and that led to the first hip hop tour called the New York City Rap Tour, which really like introduced hip hop to the UK, France. So that was pretty amazing to come out of that.
And that was like what, 84,
that was
85?
Still 82. So much happened within a short amount of time that
it's true. It's all these like these things.
Yeah, and it led to a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah. Okay, so after Beat Street and all that, then what's the next thing for you?
After Beat Street, well, we did have they had us go to the studio. Well, I'm sorry, no, I was actually injured, and they manager selected 5 people to go to a studio, and she was like, "Hey, I want to see if you guys know how to sing." And she brought these 5 people in. I was in the hospital. I had torn my groin and all that shit, and dance issues. And what they thought was them seeing if they knew how to sing ended up being a recording of a song called "Hey You the Rock Steady Crew." They didn't know it was released. By the time we found out it was released, it was already top 10 in the charts in the UK. There wasn't even a record deal. And it was put out by Richard Branson.
Amazing. So did you get screwed on that, or was it a good experience?
Well, we had leverage at that point.
Okay.
And we ended up having to work out a deal. We had a $1 million deal with them for 83, $1 million deal is not so bad, you know? Yeah. And they got us in the studio. We never liked the music that we made. We were kind of like thrown into a situation that we were not striving for or cared about and had no discipline for. So imagine what getting us together for that shit was like. And we were still being wild in the streets at the same time. So they're trying to take a bunch of wild ass kids into the studio. Yeah. And it was just difficult for
them to be like New Edition or something. Yeah. You know, like, or what,
And then we ended up, you know, selling gold records, you know, and a lot of touring, and then realizing that all that money that was being spent on us was our own money. So when it was time to get paid, it was just like a whole crazy deal with going through some sort of almost going through litigation with Virgin.
Well, it's always the same story. Like everyone has the exact same story. I don't know why. You know, they don't set it up a different way, or like, you know, you can go see somebody else in the meet before you know, because every like 98% of people have the exact same story. You know, so it's like that. Like you get screwed.
I don't even, you know, honestly, I say the story, I tell the story, but I'm not bitter about it. You know, cause,
no, I mean, you also say like, doesn't seem like your heart was in that. To be honest, you were kind of just like,
I mean, we did things like meet the Queen of England. You know, you see, like we had a royal command performance, and
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
We had like, you know, meeting what's her name, Tina Turner. Like, you know, we're somewhere and they're like, hey, someone wants to meet you guys, and it's Tina Turner. And we're like, oh shit.
Well, you're probably like, but you're probably like, this, nice to meet you, like, right?
No, we were because the thing is, at that point, you know, Tina Turner was making her comeback at that time. Yep. And you know, that's also music from my mother's days. So for me, I was excited to tell my mom.
Yeah. So what's happening? So you're becoming very successful. What's happening now, like at home in the Bronx? Are you like, you know, the hometown hero? What's happening there?
I mean, we would treat it like ghetto celebrities, but with living, you know, with being successful at that age and still living in the hood and still having your own wild out crew and the shit that you're used to doing, we were living double lifestyles, you know? Yeah. And the only thing, the good thing about hip hop back then is that you didn't brag about the dirt you did. You know, you just did it, and then you went and did a show or some shit like that. You're right. You know, it's like you go on tour, you come back, you spend your money on your friends and whatever. Next thing you know, you're hungry, and it's like, oh, let's go to Central Park and catch a victim. You know, and meanwhile, we got a record out.
I know.
You know, so
you're young, you live and you learn. You know.
Yeah. But the thing is, I talk about those things because so much has happened in my life on the negative side. To have made a decision in my life at one point to do a 180 and work towards helping youth who might be possibly going in the same direction of making those same mistakes, you know, that is the difference, you know. That is the game changer right there. It's like, yeah, we came from that, but you know, you can make that switch, you know. And sometimes, and I had to just have this conversation today, where I was put in a situation where something happened, and I was going to retaliate, and that was the exact moment that my friend told me, "Yo, you should take a loss. You should just take a loss at this point, because if you don't take a loss at this point, you don't know where this is going to end up. And enough has happened already to certain people involved with all of this." And as of course, I'm speaking in code now. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to take a loss, but while taking that loss, I'm going to do something that celebrates the people who got involved with this scene and didn't know what they were getting into, but contributed to the foundation of the hip hop industry. And I want to celebrate their names. They may have made fucked up mistakes and bad choices, and they're no longer with us now, but they still contributed to what is allowing people to eat, you know, to have food on their table now. So from that point on, I just wanted to work with kids and, you know, do what I can, where I can, whatever I can.
That's so special and so amazing. And that's what it is. It's like, it's a turning point, I think, in everyone's life, where you realize it's not about you anymore. It's about how you can actually impact other people's lives. And like, you know,
yeah.
And really, you know, I think it's about, it's a turning point in everyone's life, I think, where you realize it's not about you. It's about the bigger picture and like how you can impact people, because you can impact people. Anyone.
Yeah.
You mean?
And realizing the tools that you have to actually manipulate that situation. I had never thought about, well, I was told by Africa Bambaataa, you need to use hip hop as a tool. And I never got that until so many people died around me. And then I was like, I'm going to use my ability. So I started doing volunteer work in the Bronx 3 days a week for 3 years, throwing events, teaching kids dance, taking them to circus, taking them to basketball games. I took a group of kids from Hunts Point in the Bronx to Wetlands, where we threw an event there, a daytime event. I had the kids work the box office. They hosted the event, and
amazing.
They did everything. They ran the battle that we threw, and the kids were ages 8 to 16.
Amazing.
They ran a nightclub.
Because what it is, though, and I've worked with kids for many years in Harlem as well. It's about giving them self-confidence and showing them more than just the block they live on, showing them a world outside of their block, and giving them self-confidence. Basically, it's building confidence. I think that's really important.
And we're talking about Hunts Point, where at that time they were filming hookers on the point. So the kids lived 1 block away from that area.
Yeah. Well, that's really special, really amazing, and that's, you know, I'm so glad that you could evolve to that point in your life. That's amazing for you. Good for you. I'm really happy about that. Okay, so there's a shift then, obviously, in your whole direction. What was the next kind of like career thing for you after like this new evolution?
Oh, wow. So, I mean, there's so many things that we just skipped over. Because even after all that, and the record deal and all that stuff going bad, and certain people making certain decisions in their lives, some people went to school, some people went to work, some people ended up becoming drug dealers. And for me, I actually caught a charge, and that charge, you know, in order for me to kind of like beat that charge, I had to show some progress in my life. So my lawyer was like, you got to do these things over the next several months, because if you don't do these things, you're going to jail. There's no question about it. So I got myself back into school. By the time I had to see a grand jury, I was already like getting my diploma. So I flipped everything around at a certain point. And I know the timeline is crazy right now, but you know, that got me to where, you know, I ended up going to Bronx Community College. Then I switched from Bronx Community College to Hunter College. And in Hunter, I was hanging out with Vin Diesel. We were like going to check out girls all the time in the cafeteria playing spades.
Was that 80s or 90s?
That was 80s. That was like 85, 86.
So again, it's still a really short period of time. Though. It's only like you know, it's like but it's still not even past 85 yet. I mean, so.
But then you know, it's like I was going to college, but then I also was in a situation where I had to pay bills, and I had to like get out of college and work. I started temping, doing all these things, and then I ended up working for Bally's Fitness in a gym, and that you know that I made good money there. That was good money. That was easy money. But it was a lot of hours. I didn't really have a social life.
Well, you're kind of a creative, I think, to the core. So like, you know, those kind of jobs like me, those kind of jobs, I like working. I love working. You like to work as well. I can tell you're a very hard worker, which I am as well.
Well, like, if you ask yourself, I could be a harder worker.
Well, you know, but you know, my point is like those kind of jobs, those like not creative jobs, we don't flourish in those kind of jobs. I mean, so we flourish in our element, let's say. So also something interesting, like by 85 too, I'm thinking hip hop is actually, you know, on the charts and things. Like hip hop is like a real legitimate, like, you know, being played on regular radio stations and stuff like Run DMC, all these things are out now. So how did that impact, I guess, you or affect you? Like, you know,
that's a good question.
Boys, Run DMC, Houdini.
That's a very good question.
Yeah, like,
there's something I wanted to touch on right now too.
Yeah, good.
So there was a point where we're the hot shit, right? Everything is popping, you know, from 80 to 80, 85. And then all of a sudden, we ain't the hot shit anymore. We're caught up in this legal battle with Virgin and Charisma Records. And we're kind of like out of sight, out of mind because we're dealing with all this other shit. And our managers were trying to make us become something that we weren't in terms of recording artists. And I just got super bitter where I did not want to, I didn't even watch rap videos. I wasn't listening to any rap. The only thing I listened to is R&B, slow jams, shit like that. I didn't want to know anything about anything hip hop in the late 80s. I was going to places like 1018, which was the Roxy, but it was more freestyle music. And I would go to certain events, but I just pulled away from hip hop because, you know, one day I actually went to the Roxy, and before it became 1018, and the same people that were letting us in walk right in were telling us, "Yo, get to the back of the line." And I was just like, "Oh, okay, it's like that. All right, cool." But here's the shit. Ever since then, every club that I ever go to, I always expect to pay. I never take it for granted that any person working a club is obligated to let me walk right in. I go with the intention of, hey, I'm here because I want to have a good time, and it doesn't have to be for free.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's rare. First of all, but I mean, trust me, I know. But I say I'll pay. I'll wait in line and pay if it's something I really want to do. You know what I mean? If it's like, you know, I'm like, if I'm going to some fabulous party, you better let me in real quick. But like, if it's something like, let's say, to see you perform or to see something you're doing, I would wait in line. I would pay. I'll be very, you know, like I don't mind doing that if it's something I really want to do. You mean? So I would definitely, you know, I don't mind either. It doesn't happen to me often, but I'm happy to do it when it does happen. So I mean, if it's something I really want to do, you know, so or someone's birthday party or something.
Yeah, but the way you be rolling up, man, you just like blah, 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 blah. You got all your shit on point, and then you're like, oh, yo, he owns the place.
Y'all better let me in.
He owns this place.
Y'all better let me in right now, right? I'm like, do you see me? No, you know. But,
no. You would have been amazing at Studio 54.
Oh yeah.
And you know, we performed at Studio 54 too. We were actually fortunate enough to perform there, I think 81. And mind you,
amazing.
So, yeah, I was a little kid. I was 15 years old performing at Studio 54. Antonio Lopez, who was also one of the people that helped Rocksteady Crew get its start in the commercial world. He had his book, Antonio's Girls, and he had us perform. And we were also in a documentary for him that he did called Portfolio, which Andy Warhol is in and all that stuff. Yeah. But
I love him.
Yeah, so we performed there, and you know, Jerry Hall was there, Tukey Smith, and you know, Karl Lagerfeld, and all these people that were super like important for fashion in the 70s and 60s are there. Grace Jones. Yeah. So it was pretty amazing.
Well, you're so much. That's so much information such that it's like 3 or 4 years. Also, getting back to what you're saying, kind of like the late 80s when you kind of, let's say, burnt out on hip hop, it makes sense to me though, because I find that it's common when like younger, you know, we were 14, 15, 16, realistically kind of like, you know, skyrocketing to success. I think it's kind of like that's how it goes. It goes kind of like pendulum a lot of times. You know, like you kind of burnt out too quickly because you were too young. If you would have started, not you, it's not, you know, it's not your fault or anything, but like I think if, you know, when people start that young, they usually you burn out and they're like late 20s or whatever, you know, in their 20s.
Honestly, we had no appreciation for, you know, we would go to, you know, we went to, I don't know if it was when we went to France or the UK, we were on tour. And they're like, hey, we're going to take you sightseeing. And we were like, yo, take us to the hood. We want to go get a bag of weed. We want to get some blackberry brandy. And we want to chill.
That's normal, though. It's okay. It's normal at that age. Nothing wrong. It's how it is. I mean, like, you know, like people, that's what people that age want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, of course, you want to go see sights at your age now. But, like, that's fine. So have you, first of all, have you ever written a book? Do you have a book?
No, but the thing is, right now, I'm in, and this is probably the last interview that I'm going to do like this for a long time.
Thank you.
Because I have a deal with Red Bull to develop a Broadway play, a scripted feature film, and a documentary all about Rocksteady from my perspective. So that's super important to me because it's a deal that is built around the success actually impacting me in a way that is like, yeah, that's his shit. Like, he's 50% owner of that. Like, I 50% own everything, which is not really a kind of deal that anyone would get, no matter who you are. So the crazy thing is that I've turned down, we had a deal with Miramax a long time ago. I did. It was going bad. There was some funny shit going on. We manipulated it where we didn't want to burn a bridge, but we wanted to basically, like, we indirectly fired ourselves because we forced them to cancel the deal in a way that made them feel like they were in power of it because we knew of some shady shit that was going on. But you know, Paramount, Lionsgate, Warner Brothers, all these companies that I dealt with, and Todd Phillips' company, who did like all the Hangover movies and all that stuff, they were the ones taking me around. So the thing is, and they were beautiful, they were cool people, but they brought me to all these companies that really wanted the movie to end with the decision that any decision that I made to my success or any kind of future had to do with a white person helping me make that decision. And to me, I was like, yo, I gotta go back to the hood. And not because I got to, because I like to, and I love my people.
Good for you.
So for me, I felt like if I do that, any Puerto Rican or black person out there that looks at my story may take it as, I need a white person in my life in order for me to make a good decision. So I had to, like, I was like, nah.
Good for you.
Nah.
Good for you.
Nah. And
because you're probably dangling it in front of you, but you're like, no.
And to me, it's like,
I get it.
They came to me, I didn't go to them. And the thing with Red Bull is that Red Bull's like, yo, we want you to be your authentic self. We want to do something authentic. This ain't no bullshit. We want to rock with you in a way that's going to lift you up and keep you up for a long time.
Good. That you should write these stories down, though. I mean,
we did it already.
You don't remember.
We did it.
No, but like everything you're telling me, these little teeny stories, like it make a little like 80 to 85 or 84 type book of all those kind of stories. We got it. You did already? Okay, good. Okay, all right.
We're at the development stage where we've already done multiple interviews with quite a few people. And the one thing that I did do in the early 90s was I created 12 hours of audio of different members of Rocksteady who were around when we first started. All that has been transcribed. While it was as fresh as it could possibly be.
I can't wait. That's very exciting, all of that. So let me ask you a question. Why do you think that you have been able to be so, the longevity of your whole, from 14 until now, still be very relevant, very obviously culturally relevant, but very currently relevant? And why do you think you, out of everybody, the whole crew, are the one? Like, why do you think that you are the one that's the most legendary and well known? You mean, so, and famous, to be honest.
I think
I know it's a hard answer.
It is
you're
hard,
humble, but like,
you know, I think a lot of people like to perceive me as a person who saved breaking, and that's, you know, especially with it being so global, and it's also going into the Olympics in 2024. You know,
wow, amazing.
yeah, that's a whole other story. So the thing is that,
are you a part of that?
huh?
Are you a part of that?
As of now, not yet. We'll see. There's a lot of time.
Yeah.
But the thing is that a lot of people like to give me a lot of credit. And yeah, I was hungry. I was trying to get better. And I was that person who moved around all around the city, you know, courageously, stupidly, and blindly, but hungry, you know, because I just wanted to battle. But the thing about it is that I don't like to take full credit for things like that, because you cannot be, let's just say, let's keep it at fashion. You cannot be the best dressed in the room unless someone else is dressed fucked up. You know, and maybe that person even try to be dressed up nice. You need competition in order to survive or be at your best.
Yeah. Listen,
so,
I know. Trust me. I know. I listen, like you, I don't come to play. I come to win.
Yeah.
I always say that.
And we've all won and lost. And the thing is that no one is who they are without those wins and losses, which come at the hands of other people you're competing with. And with hip hop being such a competitive thing, you know, I was one of those people on the front lines, ready to win or lose.
Good. But I think, you know, you were really insightful. You've been really authentic and really cared about keeping it authentic the whole time. But you've also been really a visionary in a lot of ways for that culture. You mean, so, you know, I think that's part of the reason that you're so successful right now still, and you are still currently, you know, culturally relevant, all these, you know, you're really relevant at this current moment. These, how many years, 35 years later?
No, I've been in the scene. Wow, I started in '77, so it's 44 years.
Yeah, I'm like, that sounds like math. I'm like, it sounds like a long time, basically. So the point is, like, you know, there's something in you that was such a visionary, you know, that was like, I'm really going to move this and keep this and take this really realistically on my shoulders and carry it for generations and generations. But you in particular.
But the thing is that I think if you just set out to do what you love to do, and if you enjoy doing something, you won't realize that you put it on your shoulders. And it's just another day.
I agree.
You know?
You're right. I feel the same exact way. So it's never a burden. I'm just saying that, you know, you earnestly have carried it on your shoulders and authentically and really cared about making sure it's still very authentic, you know, not selling out to the white man, all that. You know, all that.
Hey,
you know, I'm saying, I'm like, you know,
there's a lot of Black and Puerto Ricans that wanted me to sell out too.
I know. I'm just saying, you know, like when they haven't sold out across the board.
No, I refuse to.
Extremely authentic and real with it, which is amazing. So you mean, okay, so I have another question for you, and then I want to talk about one more.
Wait, let me just say one thing. Let me tell you one thing that I'm doing today that I normally don't do, and this is only because you're a cool ass motherfucker. I never have a drink while I'm doing an interview or anything like that.
First, that's me. We're friends. It's fine.
So this is a very rare moment for me. Yes. Cheers.
Cheers again. Yeah.
With your chalice
actually, a couple questions. Have you ever been to a voguing ball, or what do you think of voguing in general?
I think voguing's amazing. Willie Ninja was my good friend. That was my dude right there. Willie Ninja will smoke you in the battle and bust your ass after.
Yes, he will. Yep. And yeah, the same way, because it's realistic. It's similar in a way. There is a similar battle. You know, it's very similar that way. They battle and they end it to win it too.
And he was from the Bronx.
Oh yeah, amazing.
So,
I love it too.
The thing is, like, you know, Danielle Polanco is a dear friend of mine. And, you know, I mean, what she represents to voguing is pretty amazing as well. You know, growing up the way we did within those scenes that I described with punk and Rastafarian scene, hip hop, all that stuff. There was gay all in every scene. There was a bunch of people DL in hip hop and reggae, okay? But so the thing is that I learned very early that although I grew up in a homophobic environment, hardcore homophobic. And for Latino, that's very different because there's always a trans person in the Latino world somewhere.
I think I always thought when I first moved to New York that Puerto Ricans or Dominicans in general were the most like, yeah, whatever. You mean about everything in a good way,
you know,
like
to the islands. Then it's kind of weird.
Yes.
It gets a little cupped
Yeah.
up. But yeah, so for me, you know, it's funny because the first experience that I ever had with anyone approaching me to try to hit on me, it was at a club called Area.
Yep.
You know about Area? So
Yep.
Area, for those who don't know, it was a club that was basically themed out every whatever month or 3 months or whatever. So I went on this night where it's just like mushrooms and all kinds of Alice in Wonderland shit happening. And this dude comes up to me. He's like, hey, this girl wants to meet you. I'm like, no, I'm good. And then he's like, he's like, hey, you know, why don't you, she wants to take you home with her. She'll give you $500. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. And then he follows me into the bathroom. And he says, hey, me and my girl would give you $1,000 to come home with us. So now went from her to an us thing. I'm like, I think this dude is really the one that wants to make this happen. And I was like, yo, my dude, check this out. I already said no a couple of times, but I'm about to fuck you up. You know that, right?
Yeah, leave me alone. Yeah, leave me alone.
Because he was pushing it. But
yeah.
I also learned because I was in that scene, the way, if anyone doubts how hip hop came up, if it were not for Rastafarian and gay scene, hip hop would not be where it is. They could deny that shit all they want. But all those first presentations downtown was a very diverse group. So if you weren't able to manage your thoughts around that shit, you were not going to survive, or you were just lying to yourself.
Well, that's the brilliance of that time, is that it was, again, it was before my time, but it was like all these things kind of coming together and meshing in a beautiful, amazing way. And if anything, I think the world's gotten less diverse, in a weird way. So like the diversity of that specific time is so something that really inspires me. So it was literally kind of everything.
It was a major education for I think New York and anyone who was anti anything during those days.
Yep.
To have that kind of culture clash happen was amazing.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so what songs get you on the dance floor right now? It could be an old song, but what song, it doesn't have to be a new song, but right now, give me one or two songs that you always are like, oh, that's my song.
Oh,
right?
Man.
It doesn't have to be a new song, but
there's so many, man. I could go from New Jack Swing to hip hop to R&B. It's just so many, pressure.
Give me a couple, man. Give me a couple.
Okay. Anything from Stevie Wonder. Do I Do?
Got it. A good one. Great one. Okay. Give me a couple more.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, or what?
Oh shit, that's such a precious question. And that's rough because I DJ.
Yeah, it's true.
I was just listening to. Oh God.
All right.
I can't do it. I can't do it. It's just too much because there's so many songs out there.
I don't know. To be honest, it's a hard question for me too. Because I would say too. People think I like fashion. I love music way more. I mean, okay.
Well, you are fashion. You don't need to love it.
I know, right? I'm like, that's what I like.
They need to love you.
I know, right? I know. They used to give me free clothes. So I want to talk about Puerto Rican City, which is something I know you're extremely passionate about. And, I think that's when we started to meet, you were really focusing on that. And I just have watched your passion for it and your commitment to it. And to me, it's it's exactly who you are as a person. I think I got to know you through your passion of that. So maybe explain that a little bit to the people watching.
Puerto Rican City was built off of the idea of trying to do something that would support economic development in Puerto Rico. And I felt like, I was already kind of bored with doing the Rocksteady anniversary in New York. And I wanted to do something with greater purpose. I felt like, I already bought my house in Puerto Rico. That's me being supportive of the economy right there and the culture. And then I felt like, I had gone to, like a group of us went to this concert by Smash Mouth. in the area that I live in Puerto Rico. And I was like, I could do this. And I can support Puerto Rico. I could bring people here to spend money, especially because Puerto Rico desperately needs economic development. I could do my part as a Puerto Rican and support the community.
I just need to talk more than an hour. It ends after an hour. What's up, guys? Waiting for Crazy Legs to come back on. We just talked for more than an hour, so is he on? Yeah, that's him. Great. Why is it not good? You know what happened, right?
Yeah. We lost. We weren't paying attention.
Well, we just talked more than an hour. It's only the second time. It's only the second time it's happened for me. So on this, so that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, that's good because I was lost in it.
All right, so we were talking about Puerto Rock Steady. I want to make for
So I started to do that based on the idea of doing something for economic development, and I felt that I had enough of a platform to start building something that would draw people to the island where they would, inject their money, their hard-earned dollars into the economy, as well as have, leaving with a really beautiful experience. And we started, we do things from workshop programs at the Boys and Girls Club to mentoring programs, different kinds of arts and dance related things for the youth over there when we do Puerto Rock Steady. These are things that lead into Puerto Rock Steady. We've done things like rebuilding sand dunes that were damaged after the hurricane, reforestation, beach cleanups, things like that benefit the community. And now we're just at a point where it's like we're always dealing with a disaster, but we're not giving up,
Yeah.
And right now, we were going to do it in June. That has to be pushed back to October, the weekend of October 9th. And, right now we can only hope that doesn't get changed. A lot of people are saying, yo, you should cancel it. And I'm like, no, because the reason why I do this is economic development. If I take this away when economic development is needed most, I've gone against what my main agenda is.
Well, I've seen you kind of posting and stuff, so like really it's continuing, which is great. And to be honest, it's inspiring. So also, how many years has it been?
This is going to be our 8th year.
Great. Amazing. I didn't realize that long. Amazing. And you know that, I'm your boy. I support 100%. Anything you need, I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
I mean that because I know how passionate you are about this, and it's such a good thing that you're doing from your heart to give back to, your people, and so the reality is.
I just saw one of our sponsors is watching right now, Monte de Leon Cigars.
There you go. Come on, what's up?
That's cool. Shout them out, man.
What's up? We are doing.
And Red Bull is already supporting us for this year. We're gonna have a really amazing all styles dance competition, which opens the door for house, vogue, breaking, freestyle, everything. So we want to make it so that it's all welcoming for all dancers. And we were gonna have Louis Vega, but we're now getting a Nane Vega because Louis, the whole thing, COVID messed everything up. But we're working on some interesting surprises.
It'll be good.
Yeah, I had a conversation today with an artist that I didn't tell anyone about yet, but we'll see how that goes.
Good. Erica and Jibo, Erica wants me to come every year, and I always have an event the day before, either I think it's in LA or something. I'm always near, but it's I'm always around it. She'll tell you, but every year I tell her I want to go, but it just never happens for me. But also, Danny P goes every year, right?
Who?
Danny P.
Danielle? She came for the first time this past year.
Okay, I remember her posting. Yeah. First of all, I asked her to do this. She hit me 2 weeks later saying, "Oh, what up? I'll do it." Danny, she's hilarious. I love her. I want to talk to her too. She's amazing. All right. So, anything else you want to, before we wrap it up, anything you want to say or touch upon, or?
I think, people can check out PuertoRockSteady.com if they're interested in finding out some details. Hopefully, within the next month or two, all the paperwork will be done in terms of the partnerships for the movie, play, and documentary.
That's amazing.
I mean, right now we have WME involved.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's, you know, that's pretty high up the chain, you know. And then there's another company that another two companies that we're finalizing paperwork with, so that we could just keep pushing forward. And I'm really happy about this project because it's the first hip hop story with a major budget that's going to be told by a Puerto Rican who was that was pretty close to being at the beginning of hip hop, you know. So I think that'll change the narrative down the road and feel like, yo, you know, we were there too.
Yeah, good.
And we also know that we have that blackness in us too, because it's part of what makes us a Puerto Rican.
Well, the Bronx in particular. It's like the Bronx too, you know.
Exactly.
Wait, it's so funny because I can't ask you who would play you in a movie as a fictional question because someone will actually play you in a movie, you know, like.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know who that would be. I mean, because it's going to be a timepiece. It is going to be from maybe mid-70s to 91.
That's great. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Listen, the opening night party is going to be amazing. I know that. That's
right. Yeah, I know somebody's going to be helping to put that together.
No, I'm getting cool ideas already. You mean? Let's get Madonna to perform. Okay, yeah. So does anybody have any questions before we go for the legendary Crazy Legs? And then I still want to hear more songs that I can't believe you choked on that question. The song. What song you choked on?
Oh, man. I kind of named them earlier when you asked me about the break beats, but you know, one of my favorite all-time songs to sing along with is "Hard Times" by Savannah Band.
I love that song.
Yeah,
I loved the Fat Boys when I was little, so anytime I hear the Fat Boys, it gets me excited. I don't see any questions. What's up, guys? Waiting for Crazy Legs to come back on. We just talked for more than an hour, so is he on? Yeah, that's him. Great. Why isn't it okay? You know what happened, right?
Yeah. We weren't paying attention.
Well, we just talked more than an hour. It's only the second time. It's only the second time it's happened for me. So on this, so that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, that's good because I was lost in it.
All right, so we were talking about Puerto Rock Steady. I want to make for
So I started to do that based on the idea of doing something for economic development, and I felt that I had enough of a platform to start building something that would draw people to the island where they would, you know, inject their money, their hard-earned dollars into the economy, as well as have, you know, leaving with a really beautiful experience. And we started, you know, we do things from workshop programs at the Boys and Girls Club to mentoring programs, different kinds of arts and dance related things for the youth over there when we do Puerto Rock Steady. These are things that lead into Puerto Rock Steady. We've done things like rebuilding sand dunes that were damaged after the hurricane, reforestation, beach cleanups, things like that benefit the community. And now we're just at a point where it's like we're always dealing with a disaster, but we're not giving up, you know?
Yeah.
And right now, you know, we were going to do it in June. That has to be pushed back to October, the weekend of October 9th. And, you know, right now we can only hope that that doesn't get changed. A lot of people are saying, yo, you should cancel it. And I'm like, no, because the reason why I do this is economic development. If I leave, if I take this away when economic development is needed most, I've gone against what my main agenda is.
Well, I've seen you kind of posting and stuff, so like really it's continuing, which is great. And to be honest, it's inspiring. So also, how many years has it been?
This is going to be our 8th year.
Great. Amazing. I didn't realize that long. Amazing. And you know that, you know, I'm your boy. I support 100%. Anything you need, I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
I mean that because I know how passionate you are about this, and it's such a good thing that you're doing from your heart to give back to, you know, your your people, you know, and so
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
the reality is.
I just saw one of our sponsors is watching right now, Monte de Leon Cigars.
There you go. Come on,
Yeah,
what's up?
that's cool. Yeah, yeah, shout them out, man.
What's up? We are doing.
And you know, Red Bull is already supporting us for
Great.
this year. We're gonna have a really amazing all styles dance competition, which opens the door for house, vogue, breaking,
Amazing.
you know, freestyle, everything. You know, so we want to make it so that it's all welcoming for all dancers. And we were gonna have Louis Vega, but we're now getting a Nane Vega because Louis, you know, the whole thing, COVID messed everything up. But we're working on some interesting surprises.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
Yeah, I had a conversation today with an artist that I didn't tell anyone about yet, but we'll see how that goes.
Good. Erica and Jibo, like Erica wants me to come every year, and I always have an event like the day before, either I think it's in LA or something. I'm always like near, but like it's like the, you know, I'm always like around it. She'll tell you, but every year I tell her I want to go, but it just never happens for me. But also Danny P goes every year, right?
Who?
Danny P.
Danielle? She came for the first time this past year.
Okay, I remember her posting. Yeah. First of all, I asked her to do this. She hit me 2 weeks later saying, "Oh, what up? I'll do it." Like, you know, Danny, she's hilarious. I love her. I want to talk to her too. She's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything else you want to, you know, before we wrap it up, anything you want to say or touch upon, or?
I think, you know, people can check out PuertoRocksteady.com if they're interested in finding out some details. Hopefully, within the next month or two, all the paperwork will be done in terms of the partnerships for the movie, play, and documentary.
That's amazing.
I mean, right now we have WME involved.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's, you know, that's pretty high up the chain, you know. And then there's another company that another two companies that we're finalizing paperwork with, so that we could just keep pushing forward. And I'm really happy about this project because it's the first hip hop story with a major budget that's going to be told by a Puerto Rican who was that was pretty close to being at the beginning of hip hop, you know. So I think that'll change the narrative down the road and feel like, yo, you know, we were there too.
Yeah, good.
And we also know that we have that blackness in us too, because it's part of what makes us a Puerto Rican.
Well, the Bronx in particular. It's like the Bronx too, you know.
Exactly.
Wait, it's so funny because I can't ask you who would play you in a movie as a fictional question because someone will actually play you in a movie, you know, like.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know who that would be. I mean, because it's going to be a timepiece. It is going to be from maybe mid-70s to 91.
That's great. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Listen, the opening night party is going to be amazing. I know that. That's right.
Yeah, I know somebody's going to be helping to put that together.
No, I'm getting cool ideas already. You mean? Let's get Madonna to perform. Okay, so does anybody have any questions before we go for the legendary Crazy Legs? And then I still want to hear more songs that I can't believe you choked on that question. The song. What song you choked on?
Oh, man. I kind of named them earlier when you asked me about the break beats, but you know, one of my favorite all-time songs to sing along with is "Hard Times" by Savannah Band.
I love that song.
Yeah,
I loved the Fat Boys when I was little, so anytime I hear the Fat Boys, it gets me excited. I don't see any questions coming in. They're just saying hi. B.boy, Uncle Will. Oh, here's one. Here's a question. Hold on. What year did Baby Love join the crew?
Baby Love was in Rocksteady for maybe 1982, 3, 4, and 5.
Good. Any other questions, guys? Everyone's just saying they love you. Bronx finest, yeah. Bronx shout out. You're Bronx finest. How do you feel about the new Bronx, like the resurgence of the Bronx? How do you feel about that?
I think I mean the things we have to worry about is culture being destroyed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think Ruben Diaz is always pushing for culture, so hopefully that really lends to the preservation of culture up in the Bronx. So we'll see.
I did that party with Swiss Beats. Did you come to that one, the No Commission?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, I did that with him.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was really good, that one. Hold on. Another question. So when's the documentary coming out?
Documentary. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll everything out in phases, and the cool shit is that you can't really get everything in the documentary or everything in the movie, but hopefully what's not answered in the play or the movie will be answered in the documentary. And I hope people understand that these are stories about Rocksteady from my perspective.
Yep.
It isn't the Rocksteady story.
Got it.
It's Rocksteady from Crazy Lake's perspective.
Well, documentaries, I actually prefer documentaries of anything because they actually can get more detail and get more in the news.
Yeah.
I love documentaries. I'm a huge documentary person. Hold on. Another one. How did you meet? Yeah.
I met Why Not. He would come when I was doing those events up in the Bronx to help raise money for the Point Community Development Corporation. He came up there. We became really good friends. He was really young, and he wanted to join Rocksteady, but I knew he was going to college, and I was already at a point where if anyone was going to join Rocksteady, they had to be doing well in school, and I was changing the idea because when I first joined Rocksteady, they actually brought me to go rob somebody. So my thing was, all right, I'm going to implement education instead. So I told Why Not, I was like, yo, go to college, and after college, if you feel like you want to be in Rocksteady, come see me. And he came and saw me after that.
Amazing. Good for you. That's so great. Allison Melnick, Allison, my Allison.
Yeah.
Where is her Rocksteady gear? That's what she said.
Send me the address.
Ignore her. You can ignore her. Here's some more. Here. Any crazy performance stories? That's a good one.
Oh, shit. I mean, if we're going to take it, there's a lot of crazy stories.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, all right. Here's one that I've told before, but it's always interesting. The first time we brought hip-hop to Paris, I'm not even sure of the city in France, but we went to France, and we were performing, and one of the groups that came out was a group called the Fantastic Four, who are also known as the McDonald's Double Dutch Girls.
Yep.
So they were on tour with us, and someone from the audience threw a bottle on stage and hit one of the girls while they were doing their thing. So we all come out. We just flipped from performance mode to straight New York street mode.
Yeah, of course.
Dudes pulled off their name buckles.
Yep.
Wrapped their belts up, had their name buckles, ready to punch people. Dondi and Futura, I think, ran out into the audience, caught the dudes, beat them down. I'm not sure who else beat them down. Came back to the stage. We're all standing off looking at the audience. And then all of a sudden, one person in the audience just looks at us, and everyone's still standing there, and they're like, they just gave us a standing ovation because somebody got beat down in the audience, and we kept doing the show.
Good. Hold on. Here's another one. Hold on. No, we're not asking you that one. It's not a good one. Hold on. Okay, here's one.
I need my glasses for this.
It says how
was the disco scene when you started dancing?
Yeah.
The disco scene was popping. My 3 older brothers were disco DJs, so as much as I hated disco and there was a civil war in my home, me against my 3 older brothers, I learned to love disco, and because of that civil war and the back and forth of them dissing me because of what I was into, and me dissing them because I thought that all of their music was just boom, 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 and had no variations in it.
Yeah.
I chose to ignore the variations that were really dope in them. All that shit is part of the soundtrack of my life, and I love disco just as much as I love hip hop.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's what you kind of grew up on. To be honest, you're probably really young.
Yeah.
Although you didn't like it, it's like part of your life. Exactly.
There were a lot of this. See, the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the records that were played in early jams were disco soul.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Whenever Rocksteady would perform, was fashion something that was discussed and coordinated?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. We came up in the era of watching like the Coen Brothers, Furious Five, Fantastic Five, all that stuff, where you showed up to the party in one age and put on another one, and then you got off stage and went back into your other outfit. You had to show up. You have to be on stage on point, because we came out of the era of I mean, shit, like, how do you follow Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so everyone had to be on point.
Verdine from Earth, Wind, and Fire is the best dressed man in the business. I've said that for many years. I know him now. His manager is my friend, so I've met him several times. And every time I go to the show, I try to outdress him. Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. I'm going to see Verdine. I gotta put on my best outfit. Never gonna happen. I've tried like 10 times to outdress him. Never happened. He is the best. That's why I gave him best dressed.
They're amazing.
Business. And then me. Okay, so all right. So I think that's about it for the questions. I want to thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
I think you're I learned a lot. I really didn't know a lot of stuff about you. I think you're, you know, the fact that you have evolved so much and care so much about people and humanity and your community is, I think that's going to be your legacy. I mean, we were talking about legacy before, and I think, like, you know, it's about you holding on and you're holding on to your culture so authentically, as you know, and really just giving back so much of yourself to inspire people. That's your legacy to me. But what would you like your legacy to be? Like, if you could choose it and, you know, say it yourself right now.
I just want to be a good father.
Oh, great. Good. That's great.
You know, I want my legacy to be like my son. His son thought he was an amazing father, because I know being a parent is a struggle for anyone out there, and having the kind of relationship that you think you should have with your child is probably something you're always constantly striving for. Yeah. And it's never where you want it to be. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, I think it's good to have someone like Josel around me to remind me of how much my son loves me. How old is your son? He is 22. Oh, good. Excellent. That's a good age. Good age. Yes. Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I can't stress enough that, you know, you are such a legend, like a living legend. I'm so happy you did this with me, and I'm so happy that you are the evolved human that you are. I think it's so great and really inspirational to me, and hopefully all the people you come in contact with. So thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. You're awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Good night. Bye, guys. Thank you.